and begin. Since this is my first really official video, I will explain who I am. My name is Brian Giles. I am a lover of Magic the Gathering. I do a lot of conversations online with other content creators and stuff. And this is my first attempt at posting a real video. And the purpose that I'm trying to do with my channel, with these videos, is not only to showcase some cards, discuss some cards, but also to discuss the state of Magic the Gathering, the cards, the where I see certain sets going, in the future, where certain cards might find a spot, in decks, in, various formats. We also will probably discuss things like Arena, and we will see where it goes from there. So to start off today, I'm going to put out some things that have been on my mind about Magic the Gathering, especially coming up. We have the Dominaria United. Now, if you're a follower of Magic the Gathering, you probably already know the Dominaria United, that set, is also going to be, it has these Legends cards in it. They supposedly found cards, cases and pallets even, maybe. Nobody really knows. They won't disclose it like they did back in the day of how many cards they found, or, what cards they disclosed what cards they didn't find, and they took out a bunch of cards that were, well, not really appropriate, which is understandable because, some of these cards are, let's put it like this, not appropriate. They reference certain things, or make it look like, things that are racist, or stuff like that. Or there's the one card, Gwendolyn. Now, this is an interesting thing to note, and I noted this on Dual Brain MTG's in his comments when he talked about the same thing about Gwendolyn. Now, I remember back in the day when after Legends had first come out, in that era when Magic was first starting, the people that were running Magic the Gathering were very sensitive to not only the kids and the player and the people that were buying Magic the Gathering, but also, like the parents of the kids that were buying it. And, at that time there was the big D&D fear that, playing these cards will get you into, demonic stuff. And I being, a Christian, I understand where some of this is coming from. But this is a game. Again, back then, how people viewed D&D is a lot different than they view it now. Back then, they viewed D&D kind of like, what we refer to these days as LARPing. Being in character, and that you became that person. So they viewed Magic the Gathering that same way. Like, you were casting real spells. You were, instead of it being a basically a strategy game, that you were casting real spells, and that you were summoning demonic and demons. It's not that. It's a strategy game. And yes, there are demons. There are some crazy spells, and there's some really crazy artwork. But the truth of the matter is, it is a strategy game. And so at that time, when they put out Gwendolyn, she was designed to be, this female assassin, the Mata Hari type thing, but it was set back in a different era, in a different plane, in a different world, and the way the card art was done, it looked really racy. And at that time, the people of Magic thought that we're concerned because of the backlash because of that, because it looked like she was getting ready to have relations with the guy in the picture. And 2 points, yeah, it kind of does look like that. So what they did is they banned it from tournament play because of that. And there was a big run on grading that card, collecting that card, because it was the racy card. It was the super secret banned card that you're not supposed to have. And because back then, and this will lead into my next point, is that artists were commissioned by Wizards of the Coast, and at that time TSR, which was the overparent company, to do these artworks. So when they banned it, they could no longer use that artwork if they were ever going to reprint that card. But then shortly after that, right around that time, they came out with the reserved list, because the people that got in at the beginning feared that if they keep reprinting and reprinting and reprinting cards, which it does happen, it still happens, that the value of their cards will go down. And so they wanted some concrete in writing protection, and that's where the reserve list came from. So back to the commissioned artwork. There was this artist by the last name of McNeil, and he got himself into trouble by doing inappropriate things to women and following them around, and that wasn't nice. So Wizards basically banned his artwork. They don't have anything to do with him. And because the artwork that he did was in the commissioned era, they can no longer use his artwork if they want to reprint any of his cards, any of the cards that had his artwork on it. And that is why they had to remove those cards from the Legends cards they inserted into Dominaria United. And there were a bunch of cards that, in all the stuff they found, there were a bunch of cards. Again, coalition issues. Like I said, this is back when Magic was first starting. that didn't appear. There were two different print runs, and so there were certain cards that didn't make it in that the print run of the boxes that they opened. So you've got those Legends cards, and there are numerous cards that are very valuable. But there's you can, and it's just a chance to get one card in 3% of collector packs. And that card may be a common card that's worth hardly anything. But on the other side of that, when Legends came out, multicolored cards, they again, you didn't have a lot of idea of what powers should be back then. They were still learning out powers and keywords and all that back then. Excuse me. And so they thought that Legends cards should cost more because, well, they're Legends. And the truth of the matter is that they printed a bunch of cards that were basically vanilla Legends, but they were super expensive casting cost wise. So what they did in Dominaria United, their box toppers, they took a selection of 20 of them, of these kind of vanilla Legends, and they redid them for a more modern setting. So they're no longer vanilla. But, there was one that was, kind of a vanilla card that cares about vanilla cards, which is nice. Please excuse my yawning. Now there's 19 Legends, and one of the 20 that they selected, they made into a Planeswalker. Now I have an idea about that, but I don't know if I'm going to reveal it here. Because I want to get on to the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about. And here it is Dominaria United is it's not only this first set like this, but it's also the turn. This is where it's called standard rotation. It's where the new set starts. So everything after last year's standard set, which is AFR, which includes Innistrad Midnight Hunt, Innistrad Crimson Vow, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, Streets of New Capenna, and, well, Baldur's Gate, Commander Legend 2 Baldur's Gate isn't really a standard set. Nor is Double Masters 22. This is going to be like the standard set here. But this is so what do you have in standard after rotation. You have two crappy Innistrad sets that you get vampires, werewolves, spirits, and humans. There's not really any value. There's not really any good decks out of it. You've got Kamigawa, which has a ton of good cards in it. The best set of all of them for standard play. But, its archetypes are kind of limited. I mean, you have enchantments, you have kind of the samurai, you have the ninja, and then you kind of have the balance. There's not a lot of wiggle room to make, any real interesting deck. Now, Streets of New Capenna is broader in the fact that, it's three colors. It was really designed to be a commander-focused standard deck, which doesn't make any sense because it's supposed to be a standard set, not a commander-type set. And a lot of people don't like the whole family theme. And to get everything really the way it should be, you have to play three colors. It's not, a real strong set. There are some good cards in there, no doubt. I mean, the Planeswalkers, Vivian, not so much, but, she can be useful in other decks, and not just things that are specifically Capenna focused. But Elspeth, really solid Planeswalker, solid Elspeth Planeswalker. One of the best of any of the Elspeths. Omnixless. There are whole decks built around that card. Just that card. Because he's got the casualty effect. Casualty has its ups and downs, but for Omnixless, you create a second copy of him that's not legendary. So you've got two of them out there. You can do a lot of stuff. I mean, like I said, there are whole decks built around that. But if you're playing just standard, those are the standard sets along with what we get in Dominaria United. And here's also another concern I have about Dominaria United. Dominaria United, because they had such problems and nobody liked the theme boosters, and honestly, there are people that have said a lot of things about it. Lots of content creators have said lots of stuff about it, that these theme boosters were crap, they were trash, and, you didn't get anything out of them. And it's true, I've opened them up, and they're trash. So they decided, let's kick out theme boosters, and let's start making Jumpstart for every set. Jumpstart? There's some good cards in Jumpstart, mind you. And Jumpstart's, the box prices are low because you can get a lot of bad packs in Jumpstart. But, the ones that you can get good are good. And, there were a couple that actually got reprints in Double Masters 22, and they were good reprints. Emile de Blessed, people liked having a legendary unicorn. The Allosaurus Shepherd. For your elf deck, though, that's a wonderful card. But there's a lot of stuff in there that's just bunk. And that's my fear that's gonna happen with these Jumpstart sets, which are now supposed to be in every standard set. Instead of theme boosters, they're gonna have Jumpstart packs or Jumpstart, boxes to go along with it. Well, the idea is sound, and if the cards they put in there, and they've reduced, they've made it so it's like, I think it's like there's 2 versions per every theme that they have in that. So you don't have all these like in regular Jumpstart, 3 themes or 1 theme or 4 themes or 2 themes. It's just 2 themes, and there's 2 themes per the color sets, and there's 2 different versions of those themes. So it's like, I think it's like 20 different versions of Jumpstart packs. And if they put good cards in for that, it might be useful. But the drawback to that, here's my drawback. You see, when I got into Magic was a bit, back in late '93, early '94. Magic was all about, it was for everyone. It wasn't just for, the little kids. It wasn't like a Pokemon type, card game. And it wasn't quite as complex and adult like the Star Wars or Star Trek card game. Those were more for adult people because they were very complex. The Star Wars one especially. So this was the middle ground. This was the place where everyone, it didn't matter who you are. If you played Magic, you played Magic. And yeah, you had people out there that got in at the beginning and got their Alpha Black Lotus. The 4 horse. They were in on the 4 horsemen. They got their Tabernacle Pendrel Veil. They got their they got their Aladdin's lamp and all the stuff from Arabian Nights and Alpha Beta Unlimited. All their dual lands. When I got into dual lands, were hard to find already. And this is when Revised was out, and this is before 4th edition. It was, those were already hard to find. Before the reserve list was fully the reserve list. But now, because of because Magic has gotten so big and has lasted for so long, and you got collectors which are trying to gobble up those limited cards from the beginning, and we've gotten separated into collectors, players, um, people that kind of like to do both. You've got your content creators, and and your collectors is divided into singles collectors and sealed collectors, and it's I think in some ways really divided up how magic is. It's not magic for everybody anymore. It's you're this or you're that. And with this with jump them doing jump start instead of theme boosters, I think it's kind of made it like, oh, this is for the poor people that can't really that want to play but can't they're trying to get into it but can't really afford it because Magic is becoming more expensive. We've known this. MTG Gaming Bob has made videos about the price increase, and it's not because there's Legends cards in Dominaria United. This price increase was announced long ago, last year. We knew this was coming. So the separation, into, you're this Magic player, you're this kind of Magic player, you're that kind of Magic player. Oh, you're a collector, you're a singles collector, you're a sealed collector. I think it really divides us more, and I really thought that this set being called Dominaria United would try to, instead of pushing off them more, try to unite people more. And maybe, just maybe, these jumpstart packs that come with the set might be useful, and they might they might have good deck themes. But we don't know. We don't have. I mean, we got some cards that were released, which Magic does, now, because we're in the modern age of computers and stuff. And it's just, and then we've got the leakers, and then that's a whole other video. But my point here is kind of about the leakers, is that we don't have we only got one leak of one card, which we already kind of knew from the text on a card that was already officially revealed that was most likely going to be in the set, or at least heavily mentioned in the set, because it was mentioned on the one card. So we know some things, but we don't have the full view of what's going on, what the cards are. And usually, in the past several sets, we've had, large leaks come out, and oh my God, accidental correlation issue, and there's cards in a different set in Commander Legends. We got all these cards from Double Masters. It's like, was that somebody purposefully doing that? Little insertion here, create some hype. But we don't have any more hype like this. So this kind of plays into my fears that, and I've said this to several different people, that Dominaria United is going to be an intro set. And not just because of the jump starts, but because of because of how the set, we're not getting any real good spoilers out of it. Well, my video is now over 30 minutes, and I have to go because the phone won't allow me to record anymore. So, peace, love, automatic weapons.